Final Fantasy VII Remake is of course a reimagination of the original, but it changes things actually quite a lot in terms of how you can get items, how to upgrade those items, and way more. So in this video I want to share tips and tricks that I wish I knew earlier, so you can benefit from them during your playthrough. A like on the video would be super appreciated, and let's go. First up, I would recommend that you change your battle settings. I actually did this very late in the game, but it makes combat go way faster because you can basically select your favorite skill via a shortcut. The first time you enter this menu, you will see that every character already has some skills pre-selected, but especially later on in the game, when you find better abilities and items, you want to change them up so you can immediately use them when you got enough ATB. Barret is my healer in certain situations, so I selected a shortcut for Cura and also for Race, but also for the amazing Maximum Fury skill that deals a ton of damage when necessary. And I love to use the triple slash skill with Cloud, so having it on L1 and square lets me easily select it. And it's also great when managing the abilities from your team, it goes way faster. So I totally think it's smart to spend a few seconds making sure that you got the right shortcut setup. And actually under the battle settings we find the battle intel in the menu, and that is also extremely handy. In chapter 3 you will meet this new character called Chadley, who needs you for his research. And then you get the assess Materia that you want to use during every combat encounter against new enemies, because this will reveal their weaknesses and other useful data. And after defeating an enemy, it will also immediately show up in your enemy intel that you actually find under the battle intel. And here you see all the enemies you killed, but also learn more about them if you scan them during battle. So totally do that. And also scanned enemies count towards the battle intel. And while you only need to scan 2 enemies for the first battle intel, you will need more for future versions. So totally keep scanning every new enemy you come across, because even if you've already completed your current objective and are not able to return to Chadley because you're in the middle of a main story mission, you can already build towards the next battle intel, and then when completing the first version, you might see that you're already well on your way to complete that second objective as well. It's not all about scanning enemies though, because for another battle intel you need to stagger different types of enemies, so make sure that their orange bar is full so that they increase the damage. And Tifa is actually the perfect character for this, because her regular attacks and her triangle attack really help you increase the stagger of an enemy. So what I did every time I discovered a new enemy type is first of course scan it and then switch to Tifa and keep the pressure on to stagger this enemy and then earn progress towards that battle intel. Tifa also has a focused strike, so an ability that increases the stagger, and you will find this actually on other characters as well. For Cloud it's the focused thrust, and you get that on the Buster Sword, and for Barret it's also an ability that you have from the start, the focused shot. And this might deal maybe a little too much damage though, so that's why I usually went with Tifa and her regular attacks to easily build the stagger. And after completing these battle intel objectives, we want to revisit Chadley, who you will run up to in many of the settlements. He will then give you a special materia for each challenge you complete, and this can also unlock special VR missions, where you fight against Shiva for example, and then unlock her as a summon. Something that will totally come in handy when battling enemies that are weak against ice. There will be a point where you need to increase the stagger from the regular 160% to the 200%, although it will be pretty hard to understand how you should do this. And we want to go back to Tifa for this one as well, because if you just keep mashing her triangle button, when an enemy is staggered, you will increase the number. And that is especially nice against the Fat Chocobo summon that you also find early in the game, because then you will have enough time to increase the stagger to 200%. You can also do this via a different way, a smarter way you could say, namely by upgrading the triangle move from Tifa, and you do this with the Unbridled Strength ability. Then your triangle goes from the uppercut to the Omni Strike, and if you then use the Unbridled Strength again, you go to the Rise and Fall. And then activate that Rise and Fall ability with the triangle, and then you can make a staggered enemy go from 160% to 180%, so plus 20%. Then follow it up with the Omni Strike and easily let the enemy go to 205%. So that ability also gives you an extra 15%. So totally smart to already build up that triangle ability before the enemy is staggered, so you can unleash the attack when the enemy is staggered and let the percentage go up by a ton. So bam, I completed that challenge, and now I got the parry Materia. That sounds pretty good actually, a new parry move. But you can level it up by getting 500 AP, and just like XP, you earn this after killing enemies. So by simply equipping the Materia in one of your slots, you will earn AP towards that bar, and then you will also see a pop-up when the Materia leveled up. And yeah, maxed out Materia is very powerful because it can increase the passive effect, or it can like enable new spells that you were not able to do before. And sure, totally use these maxed out Materia for tough encounters, but sometimes you will only be fighting easier enemies that are just in the way, and you can take them out without a sweat. In that case, it's actually smart to switch the maxed out Materia for some Materia that you still need to level up. Otherwise, the AP that you earn from these monsters will not be used. It's namely smart to have the different elemental spells to higher ranks for when you need it against enemies that are weak against that element. And there will also actually be a battle intel very late in the game that has you level up all these elemental materia. So even if you don't use it at this time, make sure that you still equip them to level them up. And again, also switch maxed out materia for materia that still can use some AP. Weapon abilities work different though, so while you only have to equip the materia to have it level up, weapon abilities you actually need to use to learn them, so then you can use them with other weapons. So always smart when finding a new weapon to first of course upgrade it, so you have all the special bonuses active. And then during combat, just spam that new ability that is associated with the weapon, even if it doesn't make sense, like just use it. Because the more you use it, the faster you learn it, and then the faster you can go back to that other weapon if you preferred that playstyle or those upgrade bonuses. And every weapon also has a proficiency bonus, so by striking 3 or more enemies with the Iron Blade, you faster learn the triple slash ability for Cloud. So looking at this, for each weapon will also let you learn the weapon ability even faster. So then you only have to use maybe a weapon a few times during combat, and then you already learned the ability. And some weapons actually have extra materia slots that you can unlock, so totally smart to spend skill points there, because then you are able to carry around more materia, meaning that you can level up more materia at the same time as well. And good to know though is that it will not be worth it to farm XP or AP before you finish the game. There are places where enemies will just respawn over and over again, and those are normally places that you can revisit for side missions, but after you finish the game you will actually earn double the amount of XP and triple the amount of AP to easily rank up everything. So it's not really worth it to farm groups of enemies to try and level up fast. I wish I knew this earlier, because of course I already started to look for some nice farm spots, as you might know, but again, wait for at the end of the game. Going back to weapons, because they are sometimes for sale at a weaponsmith, so always check a weaponsmith the first time you see them. Sometimes they also have better armor or accessories, like for example in chapter 9 in the wall market shop, you can buy items with not 5 but a 10% stat bonus. And trust me, money will be easy to come by later on in the game, so totally buy them to enhance your party. And you also want to revisit these weapon shops when you are able to do that later on in the game, so in a later chapter. Because sometimes they have new weapons that they did not sell the first time around, so totally keep an eye out for that. You also want to keep an eye out for these vending machines, like always check their stock, because they usually have things for sale for only 300 gil, while the normal price is way higher. So totally buy these discounted goods every time you come across them, because it's just a very good deal. And this is likely something you already know, right? But it's worth pointing out that you can give your characters items in between battles. So totally heal yourself up with potions if you are low after a fight, because it will cost you 1 ATB charge during combat. The regular potions will be pretty much useless when you level up your character because of the increased HP that you get. So using it during combat is not ideal, but spamming it outside of combat can actually be pretty nice. But totally make sure that you are not close to a bench though, where you can rest. I had that multiple times, that I was healing my characters with a ton of items, and then a little later I found a bench where I could refill both my HP and my MP. So totally try and explore the area first and use your potions right before a tough fight. And this tactic, by the way, does not work in the hard mode that you unlock after you finish the game. And after you finish the game, you actually also get the chapter select. So you can replay a chapter from the start, but with all the unlocks that you got at the end of the game. So also don't worry if you missed anything in any chapter. At the end of the game, you can easily go back. If you got some nice Final Fantasy VII Remake tips, then totally drop them down in the comments down below. I'm curious to hear them. And of course, subscribe for way more content on this game. We are just getting started here on the channel, and we'll have way more tips and tricks, guides, weapon videos, and just way more good stuff coming your way. Like this video to support the channel, and totally check out my previous Final Fantasy VII Remake video by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you next time. Have fun with the game, stay safe, and goodbye.